single person will sort of be their own species in the way that we moderns like to think of it. You know, and then evolution will be erupting into the microcosm. It will be moving out of the timeline of generations, this huge area up here, and then pressing down through that information compression algorithm of evolution as entropy into the individual lifetimes. That's why, you know, like Ray Kurzweil, God bless that poor crazy man. Kurzweil makes the point that the rate of technological change right now is such that our generation and our children's generation, this century, will experience what for anyone else in human history would have been something like 20,000 years of change. And so evolution is now operating within the lifespan of an individual. You know, we can't maintain these identity politics disputes in this space. You know, what is, you know, men and women, white people and black people, what kind of argument like that is going to make sense in a world where you can change your gender or skin color according to the whim of your mood? You know, I mean, this is, again, this is potentially scary, but it's scary in the sense that, you know, historian and mythographer William Irwin Thompson says evil is the enunciation of the next level of order, meaning that we identify as a thing, and as identifying, we set ourselves in opposition to another thing. You know, I live in America, therefore I'm not, you know, Somalian or whatever. I'm a man, not a woman. You know, but the thing is that, again, like, we're social organisms. Like, we only have these categories because they exist within each other. And so, again, Bill Thompson in his fantastic National Book Prize nominated At the Edge of History in 1971 said that what is true is not the hero or the villain. What is true is their relationship. It is that they define, they exist, they create one another. And so we're moving psychologically out of a point where we are these atomistic nodes of self-authoring identity, this myth of the rational liberal participant in economics and politics, and into a kind of shape-shifting plurality where we understand that identity is ecologically embedded, adaptable, fluid. It's provisional, that our stories are provisional, that everything that we believe about ourselves is a hypothesis generated by our nervous system based on our experience. And as that experience accelerates and constantly provides us with this glut of new information, that our self-image has to adapt as well. And that self-image will, for many people, and is already for many people, adapting into what psychologist Jean Gebser called the integral mode of consciousness, a consciousness that transcends and includes every stage, every structure of consciousness before it. So this is what I wanted to speak about, what I kind of told them I was going to talk about. It doesn't really matter, I guess, as long as I'm in this with you. But, you know, as you grow up from a whelp into these stately things we are, and beyond, you know, adult development is not a fixed point. You know, you're not like done as soon as you can drink. Although actually they did find recently in studies of laboratory rats that if you simulate binge drinking in rats about 10 times during their adolescence, that brain development stops there, which I think actually explains American politics pretty well. But the point is that we move as we age, we move through a simpler into a more complex, inclusive, structured experience and understanding of what we will call, for the purposes of simplicity, self and other here. And that includes our understanding of time, right? I mean, it was only about 120 years ago that H.G. Wells, in writing The Time Machine, introduced to the world the notion of time as a dimension. Before that, most people generally thought that time was something that passed through space. It was not understood as an axis unto itself, but he needed this as a rhetorical device for his book, The Time Machine. And so he devotes this lengthy rant at the beginning of it, this exposition to, I want you to imagine that time is extended into a line. And well, okay, that's 120 years ago, you know, and then like after that, you get the patent clerk, Albert Einstein, who says, well, okay, yeah, let's use time as a dimension, and let's talk about space and time as a manifold, as a landscape, as something that can be, you know, has a warp and a woof and can be fluidly arranged, you know, that time can be distorted. And our dimensionality of time increases. You know, that we're at a point now where the adaptation required for us to understand time properly is moving into time as a three-dimensional matrix, not just a single linear extension. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So you start off as a kid in what Gebser called the archaic mode of consciousness, right? And you don't have a sense of narrative. You don't have a sense of the passage of time. You're just in this ever-living now, which is why so many people, you know, kind of envy kids, you know, because they're not thinking about, you know, saving money or, you know, should I go to the piss now or should I wait until I get to the stage? You know, where am I gonna, you know, how much money do I have left in my bank account before I, you know, am I hungry right now? I need a sandwich. No. You don't, you know, this, that simplicity, that purity of a single instant. But again, it's not really like a Buddhic sage-like state. That's a very advanced and developed space that returns to and reclaims that timelessness. In order to get there, we have to move through first the magical consciousness. We learn as small children, toddlers, we learn to identify things, to identify shapes, to name animals. And the image of the animal is the animal. You know, this is why magic works, because the metaphor is the basis for thought, for cognition. And so the word is, for making a statement about reality, the word is a sort of ligament that connects ideas and forms the mycelial matrix out of which these more sophisticated modes of thought emerge. That's why voodoo dolls are a thing, right? Because you can make a little image of a person. If you hurt that thing, then, you know, that's why we look at pictures of people, you know, because it evokes that magical sense in us of that person. But again, that's still a sort of amorphous time. You know, we've moved from 1 to 2. You know, but those two are standing in front of each other as a single thing. So we don't have a sense of movement or continuity. And then as a species, we moved out of that into what we call the mythic. The mythical time of antiquity, heroes and the heroic journey. You know, the sense that something can be born, grow, mature, reach its apex, die. The right of kings, you know. We move out of this sort of cyclical, fluid but unchanging, ultimately now, into a sense of like a greater circularity. And this is the hero's journey, right? You know, Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. You know, you always have the second act is always where everything goes to hell, right? That's how you know. That's how you know where you are in terms of the fractal texture and structure of time. Where are you right now? Do you feel like a, like a sack of stop